So was really excited to hear something different, something that's out of the norm, and something that really kind of stretches our way of thinking as HR practitioners.
Hello, it's John Bernanovich, president and founder of Willory. Super excited to be joined today by Erick Miles. Today, we're going to be talking around a wide variety of topics. As many of you know, Erick is an upcoming speaker for DisruptHR Columbus. He's part of the original 13. And we are continuing this series of video chats with speakers and sponsors to continue to bring content to the community around HR and business-related topics as we adjust and work our way through the COVID-19 pandemic. And super excited to also have Erick will be a part of our virtual roundtable session that we're planning on April the 30th. So if you haven't registered yet for that, please make sure to do so. For those of you that do not know Erick Miles, he is a SHRM SCP certified professional. He is the HR manager at Cover My Meds. He's an inspiring author, which we probably will learn a little bit more about, I'm assuming, in the next few minutes. A speaker, and you can find Erick on social media channels at The Milesology. That's at TheMilesOLOGY. Welcome, Erick. Look forward to spending some time with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, did I forget anything or miss any major parts about who you are and what you do and how you got to this point in your career? I'm sure
No,
I missed many things.
It's been just like my career. Fast forward.
I got perfect. Nice. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, it's if we're not growing, we're going the wrong way. So certainly appreciate that and understand. Especially nowadays, it certainly feels like every day is different, and got to be incredibly adaptable and flexible. So I see that you're like everyone else working from home. I know you got some things going on there. So who's keeping you company these days at your house while you're doing your thing?
Yeah, great question. So as I was saying before we started recording, we've got a bit of a basement project going on. So you may hear some drilling, sawing. We're not burying anyone. It's legitimate construction going on. We've got my wife who's also working from home, and then we have our children here as well. So we have become parents and, like many Americans, teachers as well, in addition to what we do from our 9 to 5, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, I think the most interesting thing I've heard consistently is, okay, the adjustment from working in a corporate office, if you were in a campus setting, that was an adjustment that I think many people are getting to, maybe not all of them, but then you add that to your kids being home, and then they have schoolwork, right? So it's not just like summertime when they're home, it's you got the schoolwork they got to manage through. I know as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going down to my son, help him with his math. My wife asked for that assistance. So Erick, I know you've been in HR and currently leading some HR responsibilities that Cover My Meds. What makes you do what you do? Where's your life passion, and how it brought you to HR?
Yeah, you hear people say that their passion is people, and it's just like, is there anything more than that to it? But really, when I look at all of the points of influences that I have, it legitimately revolves around people. So from a human resource, being an HR practitioner, I am a pastor as well. I am a resident eulogist. I work with 2 funeral homes here locally. And so my entire world is about people. And that has been my track.
Wow. So I'm sure that you have then that part of your life, along with your business career, personally and professionally and spiritually, and all that you're doing in the community, has to have been impacted by that. I regret to share I lost my dad about a month ago, and we've not been able to celebrate his life like he wanted us to because we can't gather in large groups. So I'm just curious, if you don't mind sharing, Erick, what that's been like for you, supporting the people that have lost loved ones at this time.
Yeah, it's been tough to go. Likewise, on the personal side, we lost my sister-in-law
I'm sorry.
yesterday. So very similarly, it was having to decide who can be present for the formal services, which were, as you know and have experienced, extremely scaled down. And I have been on the flip side again of doing eulogies as well, and it's been limited to 10 people. So it's tough. It is very tough, because I think it prolongs a bit of, the healing process, and that which has been our norms to deal when we have life that has been taken from us.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely say that's impacted me. My immediate family, so that's my nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters. We did a Zoom celebration
Okay.
the weekend after my dad had passed, and that was very therapeutic. A lot of crying, a lot of laughing, a lot of fun stories. I didn't know Dad did that, so those were fun. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Is there any other way that COVID's impacted you in your family, and how you're adjusting to that? As you kind of gleam through some new experiences, and maybe looking at silver linings that may come out of this experience for you, obviously being respectful to those that are ill or have lost loved ones about it.
Yeah, sure. I would say, like many Americans, we are rediscovering the value of the simplicity of life relative to just even being outside or being in one another's presence. Learning really how to re-engage one another. And again, not to suggest that we are perfect at it, because on the flip side, it is you are around each other 24/7. So there is some frustration that comes with that, anxiety that comes with that, temperament that, gets narrowed. But one of the things that we have done is, weather permitting, trying to get outdoors, being interactive with the kids. We purchased some furniture for our front porch to again accommodate a longer term solution of being able to be outside, get fresh air, etc. We have set up our loft now has some desk in it to kind of create a structured place for work to be done. So I think it's about, just kind of reinventing some of the things that we have gotten away from as it relates to structure and how we live. And structure doesn't have to be a prison or a bad thing. It can be a way that you keep your sanity. It can be a way that you identify this is how we are moving forward, and this has become our system, so to speak, or our new norm.
Yeah, I'm calling it the temporary norm, because I don't want this to be, I know it's new, I don't want it to become normal. I want it to be, this is like before, during, and after. So we're in that during stage. And I do agree. I've been fascinated about how adaptable human beings can be as their circumstances change. And I know initially there was a lot of shock, but then once we settled into all that, and what, stay-at-home orders would be, and remote work, and kids at home, how we've adjusted. So I give, and we feel the same way. It's been great to have the time with my family. We have a little neighborhood walk that we do with some close friends, all in social distance, and we wouldn't be doing that religiously if we weren't under these unique circumstances. So
agree.
So that said, how about as it relates to work, as your HR manager responsibilities at your company? I'm sure many things are different than they were a month ago. So if, what you can or cannot share, I'd appreciate the insight for those that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, so at Cover My Meds, we were already a pretty highly customary to, or accustomed rather, to working remotely. Every employee is issued a Mac on day one when you join the organization for the purposes of having that flexibility. And it's not just about the flexibility to be able to work from home, maybe as much as it is the flexibility to be able to work anywhere within our facility. So we have a lot of community spaces, and so allowing people to, again, not be strapped to a traditional desk has been our norm. Again, we do have employees who are remote, who work from home, whether that's on a ongoing or indefinite basis, or a couple of times a week. So saying all that to say, the transition from having to move our entire employee workforce home, while it certainly had some behind the scenes challenges, our IT infrastructure and facilities or environments teams really made it look like it was seamless. Because as an employee on the front side of things, it has been, seamless. And again, we've already been accustomed to working from home in some capacity. So, leveraging things like Blue Jeans, which is the video conferencing tool that we use, we already were doing that. Even if you were in the office, you could still use blue jeans, even if you were in the office in the conference room, we're 2 feet away from you, right? So this is nothing that's unfamiliar to us from a virtual standpoint, if you will.
Yeah, same thing for us. We've been 100% virtual since day one, so that part of it was not unique. It has been interesting. I did a couple of podcasts and webinars around the topic of virtualizing your workforce, especially right when things started to happen. And one interesting stat that came out of that, Eric, 85% of the companies in one of the polls we did of over almost 200 people that were in that webinar said that their remote work strategy will change as a result of going through this. So
Sure.
I think some were not prepared. Some had days, if not hours, to become prepared for it. And if you didn't have the infrastructure in place, like you mentioned with teleconferencing or laptop technology or availability for connectivity, it was a unique position. Plus, too, if you had a essential work that you need to have people together, going through all that experience while balancing getting the non-essential work remote. So good for you. I'm glad that's been somewhat uninterrupted for your entire company. It probably makes your life a tad bit easier doing what you do. How have you seen then, as a result now of everybody being virtual, your role changing in supporting HR as it relates to providing that in more of a virtualized capacity, which maybe before it was partially, but now it seems like it entirely be focused in that way?
Yeah, the interesting thing about it, John, is it's been a lot easier to get a hold of people and track them down.
There you go. Interesting. Yeah. You got a little bit more time on their hands, or
Yeah. 'Cause I can Slack call you, or I can blue jeans you, and you're right there, right? As opposed to like, where are they at in the facility? So everyone, I think, is a little bit more accessible. We have had, from a TM standpoint, we have created, or I personally have created, office hours. So with the business unit that I support, I sent out an email and said, hey, every Wednesday, Friday from this time frame, I'll just be sitting on blue jeans. And so if you want to drop in, whether it's for something specific or you just need someone to talk to, I'm available. So I think it's really being we have the opportunity to be thoughtful, to be intentional about the work that we do. So one of the things that I think that this has created is a consistency in how we engage our partners, because it is more intentional now, where people probably are not vacating meetings where they may have in the past because things are coming up. So people are really sticking to the things that they're embracing on their calendars and the commitments that they're making. And like many other organizations, we have virtual happy hours. Some of our ERGs are doing virtual lunches as well, with some type of cadence. So it's, again, just about being very thoughtful, very intentional in a virtual world that we're living in right now.
Yeah, creating the new normal, like we talked about, that structure and discipline, I think, is one of the most unique things. That's talked about this quite a bit around, if you were forced to go remote and you were in a traditional office setting, you hired employees that were used to working in that environment, thrived in it maybe in some respect, where the dynamic of working from home creates a unique level of self-discipline. Is there then question marks from managers? Are you really working? Are you just doing laundry or helping out with schoolwork? So we've done quite a bit in conversations around creating some of that accountability there to make sure that people get their autonomy to do what they need to do, but they also get their work done. So
sure.
Are you hearing anything from your colleagues or through your networking of any other different ways that HR has been stressed in this time to think outside the box? Maybe you haven't implemented it at Cover My Meds in your role, but you've heard some creative new ideas in that regard.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything that's been, this grand finale of fireworks, so to speak. I have had the opportunity. One of my friends is a director within HR for one of the local municipalities within Ohio, and he reached out about, some telework. What's the word that I'm looking for? Procedures, if you will. So I've had the opportunity to have some conversations with organizations that don't have, a remote workforce to help them kind of come up with some strategies, so to speak, but nothing that jumps out from, a creativity and innovative side that I don't think anyone else is doing or has thought about right now.
Right. Well, I will say, even just a few weeks ago, like the virtual happy hour, people probably, like, how often did you do a virtual happy hour before this happened?
Yeah,
right? Never. So now, okay, we usually did a happy hour, but we still like want to have a drink and fellowship with our colleagues. So that was maybe innovative 3 weeks ago, but now it's kind of old fare in some
yeah,
respects. So, but I get it. So I know I was super excited, Erick, to have been through the process of being able to be on the speaker selection committee, and was super impressed by your background and some of your interactions in the community, as well as then obviously your aspiring authorship and some of the other things that you're doing, person that prepared you to be a speaker, one of the original 13. And I know that has shifted because of the fact that we can't do the event on April 30th in the traditional forum, but I'm just curious as to your experience with Disrupt, your enthusiasm toward it, and anything else you can share with people as we kind of work through what we're going to do here over the next few months.
yeah, for sure. So, I hopefully, like many, have been paying attention to the most popular videos of the week. In addition to, going to Disrupt's website to just take a look at the different types of speakers, the different types of content that have been offered, the creativity and the inspiration around those things. And certainly for the purposes of being informed more of what Disrupt HR can offer to HR practitioners and abroad, in addition to getting ideas about how to craft when the opportunity comes, a 5-minute presentation that I will have to do. And it's been all really good stuff. I just learned about Disrupt HR, I would probably say in Q3 of last year. So was really excited to hear something different, something that's out of the norm, and something that really kind of stretches our way of thinking as HR practitioners. Because I think we're accustomed to, the SHRMs and some of the more things that people are across the board aware of, but just having a different player in the field that says, hey, we are open to being edgy. Matter of fact, some of the content that I've watched, I'm like, can we say that?
Right, exactly.
So super exciting to see the creativity and the synergy around how do we move HR forward and do so in a way that is perhaps not the norm, perhaps not the way that we have been thinking, but in a way that can be influential, inspirational, and effective as well.
Yeah, I love your creativity and inspiration as key tenets of that. There's some level of entertainment in it as well, just because
Sure.
I can tell you, having done it a couple times, I never prepared more for a presentation, let alone one that was only 5 minutes.
Correct.
Not being able to control that clicker in front of 250 people and, hey, wait a second, I forgot to say that, and not have it be so scripted that you look like a robot. Because I am no actor. If I learn lines, I'll stumble over myself, or
Sure.
I'll sound like it's all too rehearsed. But yeah, my encouragement to you when the time comes is make sure you practice that bad boy, and make sure
Duly
you're
noted.
passionate about the content, and the timing of it is certainly something that's really unique. But it is, to your point, like having been to many of them and participated in a way totally different than you go to. And the sad part about where we're at right now is that the reason for that is the fellowship and the entertainment value of a 5-minute speech that's maybe funny or makes you cry or is incredibly personable and is quick-witted, whereas you don't get that like condensed in a 90-minute presentation that you traditionally go to. There's snippets of that, but not in this condensed format. So yeah, you'll be just fine.
Appreciate the confidence for sure.
Yeah. You'll be more than just fine. But yeah, so that will conclude today's conversation with Erick Miles, one of our original 13 speakers, who will be available to answer questions from the H community that we're going to be collecting, doing a virtual table session on 4:30. We will be using the Zoom technology, so please register for that. And please come join us. And if you have any suggestions of topics or particular items that are a burning platform for you in some respect of things that you need insight or high-level intelligence, we've got a great group of thought leaders and people that are really tuned into what's going on in the community and how they're making an impact as it relates to COVID. So please join us then. As for now, this is John Bernatovich with Erick Miles. We're signing off for this particular edition of our video coffee chat. Take care.